So
do you think he was told who to evict each day? Going in there, they were like, you cannot send that person home. It has to be either between these two people or it has to be that person.
yes, I do think that. I do. Yeah.
Wow.
Because like even there was times that he didn't really like Ronnie and then like would keep him, but then when he sent certain people home, I was like, doesn't really make sense. But like you just don't know for sure. But I know for certain Sammy was sent home based on them saying it, 100%. Because I actually ran to Sammy and told her before she was evicted that they wanted to send me in there with like send her into the boardroom. I let her know straight away.
And what did she say? Was she like shocked or she knew how it all worked?
She'd already mentioned before that she was fine with going home. Everyone was starting to have enough, right? Because these tasks were long and tedious. She was actually missing out.
Everyone's like begging to be sent home.
Well, people started not caring because of the way that like sometimes Lord Sugar was speaking, the way people were getting treated. Like there was a little bit behind the scenes where everyone was just like when I came back, we had like this huge HR meeting about how people had been spoken to. And I was sitting there like, whoa, what happened while I was gone? I was gone
What do
like
you
a week.
mean?
We had this big meeting just around like how certain people had been spoken to in regards to producers telling them to like shut the F up and this and that when they're on set. Yeah, because everyone wanted to go home and get things done. Yeah, it was full on. And Sammy had some extra work that she wanted to be doing that she was missing out on in regards to like singing and stuff. So she'd actually had mentioned it and I didn't know how much she meant it, but she did say like, if I'm next to go, like I don't care. I'm fine with that.
Wait.
With the Sammy thing, I didn't need to tell her what happened with Sammy. I needed to tell Sammy what was happening and what was going on. I wanted it to be Taria. Like I had every reason to say like, Taria's making me feel this way. I personally think she shouldn't be here, but producers had, they were in my ear. And now I look back, I think the most inspiring person out of the whole show was Benji Marshall. And there were so many things he said that resonated with me that makes me wish I didn't send Sammy home. I should have literally went in that boardroom with Taria and stuck to what I felt instead of going, no, I may as well stay around. I know where this, like what they want and they need drama in this show. Like, let's give them what they need. Because I'd been making more friends with the producers than I had with the little clique that, was like Taria and my new team. So I guess, I don't know, it was just a hard time. And I look back now and I'm like, well, I don't know why I even bothered giving producers what they wanted, but I fucking loved my producers and they really wanted something like that to happen. And like I said, we already knew there was an alliance happening. I didn't know it was going to be Ronnie and Mines that looked like it played out on TV. I really thought Darren and Carla's would and Taria and Bronte's would. You know what I mean? It's not as if we were gunning for anyone. I literally said to Ronnie already knew this conversation was happening. Let's remember when I say to him, let's bring the person that gets the worst feedback in the room back with us because they deserve to go. So I literally said Taria, and that's when producers like pulled me out and were like, no, like it's not Taria. I reckon they'll send you home if you take Taria into the room. And I didn't want to go home. I just flown all the way here. I'd sat in a room for 2 weeks after trying to get better after the first task. I would hate to go home against Taria. Like that's the last thing I'd want. So yeah, it was Sammy, and Sammy obviously chose gold, and that was the bad feedback. When I actually chose Ronnie and Sammy to go into the boardroom with me, Nick arced up and said, I don't understand why Ronnie's coming into the boardroom with you. I don't think he did anything wrong. And then he goes, mic check. And then he gets up and he leaves.
Stop it.
Because obviously the producers are talking to him, and he comes back into the room and he goes, I'm sorry, Beck, I shouldn't question who you decide to bring into this room. Continue.
Carry on.
Carry on. And then when Sammy was sitting there, Ronnie and I didn't ever go, Sammy should be the one to be fired, get rid of her. Like we didn't gang up on her in any way. I was actually hoping that maybe Lord Sugar actually did have a swing on things, like maybe something could happen. Like I didn't mind if Ronnie got sent home because he was a serious threat to me. And I said that in my master interview afterwards. I was just like, at the end of the day, like even if Ronnie was to go home, like that's fine with me, so be it. But yeah, obviously it did. It ended up being Sammy, and it was just based on her choosing gold, even though like the motivational speaker, which was Taria, it was so boring. Like it was draining. She's meant to hype everyone up and it didn't happen. But it's just a task at the end of the day. We're not professionals in doing these tasks, and someone has to go home every single time. That's the whole show. That's what people watch for, the drama of getting fired. You know what I mean? So games, you know what I mean?
I was so glad that he won. I think it was really
Oh,
well deserved.
look, there was no way he wasn't going to win. Like, Darren, there was no one that could compete against Benji Marshall. But the fact of the matter is, people will give to Benji not just because of who he is, obviously because of who he is, but because of how kind he is and things that he has done for other people. And even his wife, like, I was listening to her podcast throughout the show. Even the way she speaks is just so impactful. They're just so bloody nice. And he's someone that I look up to and I'd want to be. You know what I mean? And he was probably the number one person where I looked at, and I can't even say to him, like, I fucked up with the Sammy Jade thing. I actually should not have done what producers asked. And I mainly feel that way because of Benji.
Yeah, he's a really nice person. I've actually known his wife for a number of years, and his wife is my friend's cousin, and they are really, really nice people. So yeah, it's really good to see him win.
Yeah, no, he's got a good heart. Everything he says, he's just, yeah, his heart's in the right place with everything. I've never met someone like that before.
Do you think that?
But otherwise, for now, like, obviously, we really just want to enjoy the start of motherhood, put TV aside for a bit, because again, you never know how your edit's going to end up. And like, I've learned that because some of the things and the way I said them, I was so specific about how I wanted it to come out and make sure it was portrayed. Even with the Samantha Jade thing, it was literally like, Ronnie, you're giving 100%, I'm giving 100%. Let's just send the person home that didn't give 100% and didn't do the right thing. And that's all it was. And it really didn't turn that way.
So you went in there knowing, like, all right, now I've learnt some stuff from maths. I've got to say things a certain way. And, you had your guard up, and it still got twisted.
And it still gets twisted. And I've learnt that. So it's like, no matter what, like, you have to go in there and just give them nothing. If you give them everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly, they've got options. And if they want to play just the ugly, they can do that. So no, I've definitely learned. But again, there was no way, even with a villain edit, there was no way I was not going to jump back on TV for charity. Like, that's a great opportunity. Like, that's a better opportunity than even going on Married at First Sight. That's not something that just comes around. And I think it's interesting because even when my ad got released, this is what I found quite interesting, where they made it out that I was literally like going to be this big drama carry on kind of person. They even played audio of Samantha Jade saying she's so nasty. And then when you watch the first episode, she actually says it about Gamble. And this is a prime example of where they can make an audience, before the show even starts airing, they can make an audience perceive you in a certain way. And it's literally over audio that wasn't even ever directed at me. It's literally just my face and shocking people, doing shock faces, and then audio over that wasn't even anything to do with me. So
crazy.
Perception's reality, and that's why it's called reality TV. Even though it should be called Perception TV.
Well, I think